Hey there, I'm Chroma, and I have a special thing. So, I have a school project that was a Unity thing, and I decided, or I am deciding now as I'm recording this, to do a bit of like a special devlog thing of making this because it's a game. I made it. So, yeah, it's very small though, and it was made in like 2 days, and I stole a bunch of assets from myself from my submarine thing. So, that's what that is. So I guess we're gonna start by I'm just gonna play the game. It's only like 2 minutes, and then just then go through the process of how I made it. Especially, I think it's interesting that I made it in such a short period of time, and basically just Also, my thought process of how I went from beginning to end. So first of all, I mean, you see this. What is this? What exactly am I looking at? Well, it's basically a plane game just flying through hoops. Conceptually, it sounds simple. It's just plane flying through hoops. And that was the original idea. And then then this is a monstrosity, but it works. It functions as much as it needs to. I don't know how much I'm actually allowed to explain of what the actual project was about the school side of things or whatever. But I guess it's probably fine. But effectively, it was just a project to learn Unity as if I'd never done it before, yet I have, and to learn from tutorials on the internet, take stuff from them, and then make something new out of it, effectively. So I took from my own tutorials, which I had a really good laugh about that. Like, oh, what if I just use my own videos? I know this great guy on YouTube that makes YouTube videos. His name's Chroma, he's an amazing YouTuber. Yeah, so I'll take tutorials from him. No, but yeah. Anyway, so I guess we're gonna start by my headphones because this has audio. Amazing voice acting from me. So I'm just gonna launch the game and we'll get right into it in a second. I should have tested this before. Well, no, yeah, there we go. Okay, so got my little logo thing here.
Folks, we've got about 10 seconds till takeoff, so listen up. We're about to land in the distant land of Onuklob, and a bunch of pesky volcanoes are about to erupt. The only way you can stop that is by flying your plane through every single inactive cooling ring. Use W and S to adjust your forward speed, A and D to turn left and right, left shift and control to rise up and sink down, and press R to travel back in time. Now get out there, fly through some hoops, and save the world. Apparently.
All right, amazing voice acting, recorded in very few attempts, and in a place where I can't be too loud, so I can't be shouting the lines. So now second, next scene. It's being slower because of OBS. I know that's a fact because this was really fast before, or every other time I tested it when not also recording. So yeah, this is this. Hopefully, I don't know how loud the music is compared to my voice, but this music will also hopefully not get copyright striked. And also, my face is blocking an R to restart, so I figured this was the best corner for me to be in because that's the corner of least important information. So yeah, we're aware that that's there now. So effectively, this is very similar to the submarine. It basically has the submarine code for how it moves. You can go forward, you can go backwards. There's a speedometer that keeps track of your speed. And I'll talk more about that eventually when I have things to say about it. So you have rings, you fly through them, they become green. There's volcanoes, that is just the same model that is copied over and over and over again. But that's all right. We got an R to restart and an escape to quit. Just take my word that those work because I'm not going to do that right now. Level counter, the number of rings left to go through. Oh, repeat the level on the next one. Ooh. Actually, I guess I can go, oh, look, the R button works. Ta-da. Yeah, take my word that escape works. But yeah, we got a speed. That's a neat thing. It's taking the actual speed of the submarine and just having that be a number. I was trying having that be a rounded number at first, but I couldn't figure out in a short period of time how to get it to only round to one decimal, so I'm like, it's fine, it can just be an integer. Definitely, like, obviously it's not that, like, great. Obviously there's very lack of polish. I mean, it has, some more features than being something made in 5 minutes, but, and also there's, like, definitely, like, lack of, art direction in terms of, like, this thing compared to, like, the volcanoes, but again, the intent was to make something in, like, very, very fast, I guess, and have it not be this big thing that's all super polished, a million levels or whatever. So this is the last level. I only made 3. Got 18 rings to go through. This one it's bigger. There's more to it, I guess. Did what I could with just having the stationary rings that you fly through, and also in terms of this being a plane, that was the idea of like, okay, how can I make the submarine and make it a plane? I took some creative liberties. The main thing I wanted is, as of the or how I got, I guess, an idea to do this is how in my own submarine tutorial I made a joke about, or not a joke, but when I made the turbines, I said something about how you could use these turbines on the front like a plane. So I'm like, oh, why don't I go and do just that? And then that slowly spiraled out of control until you're looking at the monstrosity that you're seeing here. So I'll quickly just finish this up. Gotta show off my expert level design. This was hard to make. It was hard to be like, how do I position these well? How do I do anything? Especially because, yeah, it's just stationary rings. If I wanted to, if I was making more game, I could have done like, hoops that move back and forth, hoops that like grow and shrink, and I had ideas of doing that stuff, but then I got to the point where I'm like, I don't really need to be spending more time on this for what I'm having to use it for. This is meant to be like I already know, I'm pretty sure that I've sort of gone above and beyond what I actually needed to make. I could have probably had just like one level of like what the first level of this was, and that's it. No intro, no ending things you're about to see, and that probably would have been fine. So, I got to a point where I'm like, I really don't need to keep adding more bells and whistles. Finish it, and yeah. So this finishes the last level here. We have the volcano that's sideways.
You saved the world. Your reward? You get to do it again.
I was like, how do I end this? I don't know. Do I go back to the intro? Do I have like a main menu? No, just restart the same thing. So yeah, this is nice, simple. You can just go off into infinity, which is why I added the restart thing. I guess also I've had so perfect flying that you haven't been able to see this either. Just that you can hit the volcanoes and you crash into them. Exactly the same as the how the other submarine thing works. So that's it for the game demo there. Let's escape. Oh yeah, I did get to show off that actually worked. And let's head over into Unity. I don't know how long I'm going to be rambling about this, but we'll just kind of see where it goes. So I guess, so you saw what it was. There's an intro, 3 levels, and an ending, and you can see the scenes here. There's a lot of scenes here. This was made in the HD render pipeline, so that actually was causing me some trouble, but I'll get to that. I guess I should start this and go through it in like the order that I made things. I guess that seems like a good way to do it. Well, first just saying that there's 3 folders here and kind of how I structured things where all the HD default stuff is in here. I purposely just put in there, didn't delete any of it, just because in tutorials, these are the tutorials that I got files from, specifically my submarine tutorial, where this should look identical to what you're used to seeing, or what you've seen, what I've been seeing over the last 7 months of making this tutorial thing. Good old submarine, untouched. And then I have a user interface tutorial because I did some user interface things. There we go. It looks, the skybox is not like a solid yellow because of something with the HD render pipeline is supposed to be in the normal thing, and didn't end up figuring out why, but that doesn't really matter. This was I think my 4th tutorial I made or something like that, somewhere around there. Just because I made some UI stuff, so I'm like, I'll just put that in there. I kind of used something similar to the slider for how I made the speedometer. Actually, the speedometer is just from a slider, so yeah. All right, so then don't freeze on me. What you doing? I'm looking back on my OBS thing and how much CPU it is taken up. Anyway, so self-made stuff is the stuff that I made or like took from tutorial and then tweaked and changed for this actual submarine game. So I guess I didn't start the intro. I started making one level. That's effectively what I did. As I got to the point where I had one level that was complete and had all the UI elements, and then duplicated it twice and made the other levels. In fact, actually, this was the first level I made, and then duplicated it and made the simpler level. So I started by just getting the player to move, as any game that has a player usually starts, is you make the player first and then everything that they interact with to some degree. So I took the submarine and attempted to make it into a plane shape. And I'm like, okay, well, first I was going to move the turbine to the front. And then I decided, like, oh, wait, what if I kind of put it on the wings? So it's like 2 turbines on the wings. That could look interesting. But then in order to do that, I'm like, okay, well, now I have to like try and stretch out the wings, make it look more plane-like by just having longer wings. And like, yeah, okay, that works, I suppose. And then that also left behind this thing that's like where the turbine at the back of the submarine usually is. So I just mirrored it. So even though it's there, it doesn't really make sense to be on the front. From the camera angle, you can't really see that at the front, so that's okay. And the camera angle is the only angle that really matters. And I took the drill at the front and put it underneath as like spike things. Initially, I was going to try and make some kind of like a landing gear type thing. That didn't happen. It wasn't even the original idea to have this volcano stuff. I'll get to that in a second. So then it was still like the submarine color. So I'm like, I should try and color this differently and, make it more like a plane. And I was doing a bunch of stuff of just like trying to modify the material. Like, what do I do? How do I make this look better or just different in any degree? I think at one point this was like purple and green was kind of what I was going, like not this like bluey purple, but more like a magenta-y purple, I guess, and green was. Well, actually, at first, before that, it was just everything was random, different colors. And I was like, this is not looking good. Bah. And then I stumbled upon like this somehow. Actually, well, from this and playing with the volume stuff of post processing, that is making everything go from this. Oh yeah, I guess this is what to this. The colors of everything are different by default just because I happened to play with the hue shift and then got like, oh, that looked great. I'm just going to, let go and stop right there. I could probably have tried to like put the hue back to 0 and then modified the materials to still be this color with the hue shift of 0, but I didn't bother doing that. I was like, it looks good. I'm going to just, hold off. And then from this being kind of a fiery color, that's where I got the idea of like, what if it's like volcanoes? What if I have that as like background elements? Originally, I was going to try and have this be like a skyscraper type thing. I was going to try and have like cloud stuff in the background. It didn't go down that direction, but that's okay. The one thing I wanted was like, okay, I gotta do something to try and make this look less like underwater, to make it look more above ground, which is why I was going to try have a building thing. Didn't end up doing clouds. That's okay. The fog looked good for masking the. Let me find the fog. Just the way that the models are and interact. The fog really helps. Not have them be as apparent. Also, actually, there's a bit of an error here. It's something I meant to fix. Never got around to it. It's just that you can tell that, or like the smoothing, like being flat versus smooth is wrong on the volcanoes. I meant to make it smooth all the way around, but that is okay. Then we got at that point then we had a plane. It has the sub-controller and sub-animation scripts. I basically just duplicated them, changed the names, and ta-da. Then tweaked these values. Originally, I was going to try and have that the plane was always going forward. So I put a max backward speed as a negative value. So in this case, if I made it negative 20, that would mean that the plane would be forced to be between a speed of 20 and 50 going forward. So then it was always going forward. I thought that was the thing I was going to try, because it's like, it's always moving. You can't if you mess up, you can't go back, and you'd have to restart or whatever. But then that really did not go well with the environments. Like as soon as you hit something, you're kind of stuck against it. You don't really, unless I had it that you like exploded and restarted, or you bounced off of it or something. If I did stuff more with that, then I probably could have gone down that route, but I didn't do that. I just went like, it's fine. Give it the normal, being able to go backwards, and that's fine. A lot of this was like getting it to look good enough, and then it's like, it's fine, it works, it's okay, because this was something I was trying to make in a very short amount of time, just for what this project thing was for. Not because, again, this isn't something I'm actually going to be selling for money or whatever. I just thought it'd be interesting to go into how I made it. So anyways, at that point, player was kind of done. I did some more like tweaking to the player afterwards, especially like even near the end, like after I had already made kind of like the 3 levels, and as I was flying through the range, like, this might be better if the plane moved faster, or if it turned faster, if it rose faster. A lot of what I did was just making it a lot faster. The sub moves quite slow. I wanted the plane to move faster, just makes it more enjoyable, I guess, or something. Definitely if I was making a proper plane game, I would probably have, rewritten this from scratch. Definitely how it moves isn't the most plane-like. The main thing is that I probably would have had, let me mute the audio here. if you turn, have it actually like, that kind of thing, and be able to like dive and go up, do all that kind of movement. And maybe I will do something like that one day. Make a plane tutorial. Add that to the list. Actually, it's already on a list that, I have a big list of potential tutorial ideas. So, yeah. But, for this, the main thing I wanted was, okay, take the submarine, make it into something different, and make a game thing out of it. And I thought in terms of like level stuff, I literally, this was one of my suggestions at the end of my submarine tutorial, where I'm like, what you can have it do is like collect treasure, fly through hoops, dodge sharks, who knows? There's so much of that script I still have memorized from how many times I had to repeat it over and over till I got one take where I didn't flub up the lines and stutter or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so I literally did the flying through hoops thing, except made it more like a plane. So in these actual rings, there's two types. There's the main rings, and there's the goal ring. They're different. So this has a script. Actually, first of all, it's just a cylinder that I then insetted in. I took a cylinder in Blender, did inset, and then deleted, and then filled in like the inside. Probably could have just used a torus, but oh well, I didn't do that. So it has the script ring activate. Actually, if I go to the scripts folder over here, I have things in 3 different folders. I got all these scripts, and all these scripts. So there's quite a lot of them. Actually, so these two are effectively, they were just the submarine stuff, except I deleted some things or changed some things here and there to work with everything else. I'm using the exact same camera controller, so there's that. Just change the values, because if the sub is moving or if the plane is moving faster, have the camera move a bit faster to follow it. Looked better. Okay, so then I want. Oops. Okay, that's in the wrong place, but yeah, that's okay. Yeah, okay, that's a mistake, but whatever. So I can. Oh yeah, I moved it. It's having to recompile. That is okay. So this ring, it's a prefab, as is usually anything that gets duplicated around a bunch. So as this ring activate script, let me open that up. Okay, well, basically just it starts red and it has this inactive material that was the red material, and then when the player flies through it, it becomes the active material. And it also goes and tells the goal ring, it's like, hey, this ring has been hit. So the goal ring is looking at all the rings. It's like, okay, this one's been hit, this one's been hit. Oh, they've all been hit. Okay, now we can end the level. That's how that is. I do have this in like a path, but it's meant to be like you hit every ring to be able to hit the goal ring. If you miss one ring, you have to go back. So in theory, I could have designed a level where there's just a bunch of rings everywhere. You have to fly all the way around, hit all of them to be able to activate the big goal one. But I wanted to make it more of a path kind of a thing. The goal ring is very similar. So it has the inactive material and the goal material of when it's all yellow and activated. In actual code stuff, this is the ring activate, yes. I'm not going to go through everything of code in detail, but I'll at least have shown it all. Effectively, it keeps track of whether or not this is inactive, and it has gets reference to the material and the goal. In start, it sets itself to be inactive, and when the player hits it, and it hasn't already been activated, so I can't accidentally activate it twice, then it makes it activated, so it's all green. So it's like, oh, yep, we've been hit. And that's that. Then the goal itself is very similar. Maybe not. It started off similar. So it keeps track of the number of rings. And I was going back and forth between different ideas of like, okay, what's the best way for the goal to keep track of the other rings? Now, typically, in terms of object-orientedness and modularness, I don't like, and it's usually not a good thing to do, to have, so if I have one script that's referencing another script, let's say if the goal, had a reference in here to the rings, the ring activate scripts, and then if the ring activate scripts had also a reference to the goal, I don't like that. That's usually not a good thing to do in programming. There's usually better ways of doing that sort of thing. I try to have that double coupling as much, or as little as possible. So usually, I'll just have one that references the other and try to work with that. So this meant that it was either going to be the goal is referencing every single other ring, or each ring is referencing the goal. So I was like, okay, which would be better? Now with that, the only time when their relationship changes, like anything in terms of how they interact changes, is every time one of the rings gets activated, something with the goal, it checks like, can the goal activate now? And then stuff updates with the UI, but that's a separate thing we'll get to in a second. So I figured that what would happen then is that if I had the goal keeping track of the rings, so on the goal that's like, keep track of all the rings, that means that like the goal wouldn't be able to keep track of the goal on its own wouldn't keep track of if something has changed with one of the rings, unless it was checking it constantly, like every frame and update, like, oh, has a ring changed? Has a ring changed? Has a ring changed? Which, definitely not, like, that is also not a good thing to do. Or I guess that would be fine, but, like, I can do it better. So then instead on the rings, if they have a reference to the goal, and then on the rings, it's able to say, like, hey, we hit the player, we're activated now. Now go send a thing to the goal to tell it to update itself and be like, oh, have all the rings been activated? Yes, no, maybe so. So that was kind of, I guess, my train of thought. I don't know, that's something good to say, I guess, because I didn't just immediately know, okay, this is how I want this to work. I had to think about it, and I had to kind of, think of the different ways that I could do it, and because of course there can be multiple different ways of doing it. I just listed multiple, but they're kind of pros and cons, and like, yes, some of them might be slower, but for something small like this, it doesn't really matter. But just for the sake of good programming practices or whatever, I wanted to try and be like, okay, what would be a better way? That led to my decision of, on each ring they have a reference to the goal, and every time then this one gets updated, or like when I say updated, I mean like the player hits it, this ring is activated now. Like it goes from red to green. Go tell the goal that, and now the goal, I think, what function is it called? It calls reduce rings. This one. And then it calls this function, and then the goal is like, have we hit 0? So cool. Then other thing is in terms of on the goal, how it's keeping track of the number of rings. I could have, and was considering it first, before I realized that I could do this, like, oh yeah, this is much better. Have a reference to every goal game object rather than the script, perhaps. Or could have a reference to every script. Basically having a reference to the physical goal object somehow. And then when it goes to update itself, it then could go look at every single other ring and be like, has this ring been activated? Has this one been activated? So like a for each loop or something like that, or just normal for loop. It goes through and sees, has every ring been activated? It's like, yes, okay, then I can activate the goal. But in terms of things being more efficient or whatever, rather than having reference to each ring like that, all it really needs to care about is how many rings still need to be activated, I guess. It doesn't care about the state of each individual ring. It only cares about like the total. So I can store that in an int. Just have a number. It's just the number of rings that still have to be activated. And at the beginning, all of the rings go and tell the goal, hey, we exist, keep track of us. And the goal is like, yep, no problem. So it adds that. And then when each one is slowly activated, it reduces the number of rings until they hit 0, and then the goal can activate itself. This also has another neat, another good byproduct thing, in that now if I go into Unity, nothing changed, right? If I want to change this level and I want to add another ring, let's say I'm like, I want there to be a ring here. I don't have to update the goal now. If I go into play mode, it's going to keep track of this ring automatically because the way I've set it up, because all the rings have references to the goal, it just works, right? I don't have to now like go onto the goal and then like drag and drop another reference or change any number with the goal thing. And that was another big plus, and something I was trying to figure out, like, can I do this? This is something, I can figure out how to do. If it was something like this crazy backward, like super complicated solution to get that to happen, then I wouldn't have worried about it for this project because it's a very small scoped kind of thing. And like I could, like, it wouldn't be like, it's only like 5 rings or whatever. It wouldn't be that bad if I add one more and then drag it in. But it makes it easier. It does make it better, especially if you're a level designer who doesn't know about programming and you're given the tools like this level designer thing from a programmer or whatever, and you're just trying, your job is just to duplicate the rings around and make a cool level. Not having to worry about this extra stuff, it makes designing easier. And of course, this is just like one example, but there's definitely there can be more examples like that in programming, where just designing it a little bit better in code makes it easier on, when you're actually designing the levels. You don't have to be dragging and dropping stuff and remember to update all the public variables and all that sort of stuff. If the goal just at the beginning of gameplay just finds all the rings, or in this case the rings find the goal, just does that, you don't have to worry about it, then ta-da, makes it easier. Now you want to be careful about, I guess, not having bugs with that, but if you're as long as it's bug free, then hopefully it's fine. Anywho, yeah. So then, anyways, yeah. So I think I've rambled enough about the goal thing for now. So, but anyways, once the goal is activated, okay. Well, I guess going to the next level, that's a new thing I haven't said things about yet. So using the scene manager, simply that the number of rings is 0 and we've hit the player. This is the goal ring. Then we go to the next level, and so we calculate. In this case, in this very specific case of this project, the next level that we want to go to happens to be, and I mean, I did this pretty much on purpose, but is also benefited by the fact that the project is so small, is simply that whatever level we're on, the next scene in the build settings is the next level that we want to go to, including the fact that after level 3 we want to go to the ending. That's the next level. So because I structured it this way, I can simply say the next level is just go to the next thing in the order. So yeah, that makes that easy to do there. I could have had something on the goal where you type in a string of the level to go through. So I type in level 3. This is level 2, so level 3. But again, not having to worry about that as much, makes it easier. If I wanted to reorder the levels, I'd have to drag them around here or something like that. That might make it easier. If I decide, I want level 3 before level 2, I would just move it in this order. And then now it would work. After level 1, you'd go to level 3, and then to level 2. I'd want to update the actual names of the scenes for clarity, I guess, and organization, but yeah. Anyway, okay, so then it loads the next level. That's done with the goal. So that's the main gameplay stuff. Oops. That's the main gameplay stuff of how the rings work, which is the main gameplay thing. It's player, rings, goal. That's gameplay done. But then I did more quality of life things. I didn't mean to do that. Quality of life things like menu stuff, a little intro and outro that I made. So in terms of this UI stuff, effectively, also let me just say, environment-wise, I made this volcano model, duplicated around a bunch. That's it. You can see what it is. I think I started with a cylinder again, and then scaled it down, out, and then scaled it down and out again. At first, the volcano basically was this, and I realized, that's too small. I kind of want it to look like it's going down more into infinity. I did again. I could have made this one straight thing, but I thought it seemed a little bit better being two things. And I grabbed every other vertex around here and moved it a little bit, and then ta-da. And then two different materials. Yes. All right. Easy enough. Next is I didn't change anything with the lighting. Left it as it was from the submarine thing. Changed the volume stuff though, with the post-processing. Okay, UI. So I'll start with what's easiest. Okay, I think the order that I made things was level counter, rings left, restart, quit, speedometer. But I'll go from easiest to that's the order that I made things. But I'll explain things in order of easiest to hardest to most complicated. So I think the easiest thing was the escape to quit. That was simply, I think it's only 2 lines. It's just if they hit escape, quit the game. This is 1 line of code. Quit. This doesn't work in the Unity editor, by the way. This is something that only will happen when you're actually running the game, when it's a build. Restart is basically the same. It's if they hit the R key, just reload the current scene. Easy as that. Nothing's being saved or anything, so you don't have to worry about saving anything. I do have a don't destroy on load, actually. I guess I should explain that. That's how the music is staying. It keeps going throughout all the levels. This is a singleton model thingy where basically each level has this main music thing that if you don't do this, it will either every time you go into the new level, it'll start the music from the beginning, so you're just hearing the same few seconds of music over and over. Or if I just told this one don't destroy itself when it goes to the next scene, then slowly this is what I had to listen to when I was playing around with it and I didn't set it up right, is that then you start hearing this music continues and another one starts, and then you get to the next level and another one starts. Or even when you restart the level, you just have all of these main music things that just don't stop. So the solution to that, how setting up a singleton thing properly is just blah. If you basically there could only be one the main music thing, and if there's another one, as soon as you get into another scene, then that new one is like, hey, does another one exist? Oh, it exists. Okay, destroy the one that is me. So then there can only be one, and making sure that one is the first one that existed. Yeah, that's effectively how that is. Okay, anywho, next, UI wise, going over here, I guess. Oh, shoot. I definitely did not have these things in the right areas. That's okay. That's fine. Okay, so next, I guess, is the level text that is, I believe, simple. Where are you? Level text UI. I guess I could just show it from here, although I don't know if that font size is big enough or not, or whatnot. But effectively, this gets the text. This dropped out shadow text. I'll explain that in a second. But basically, just two instances of the same text thing. It calculates the level based on the build index. It happens to be that because of the intro, the build index is exactly what the level is. If I had more introductory levels, like a main menu and blah 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 blah, then I would do like build index minus some kind of offset or something like that. Could also, I guess, there's probably a way to look at. I could have looked at like the scene name, because this scene's name was level 1, level 2, level 3. So I guess that could be a backup solution. So it doesn't matter where the build order is. Or like I could have just had like a public string of like what level it is, and then adjust that for each level. But yeah, anyway, so it calculates the level, sets the text. That's all that does. Now this whole drop shadow thing, this was simple. I've done this before in some other thing. I forget where. Not my submarine thing, obviously, but I know I've done this before. Like I think like a game jam type thing, where basically being able to have. I'm not looking at the right side of this. Or, let's go into game view. This is where things are being seen properly. So, yeah, basically you have the two versions of the same text, where then one is like the primary color and one is like the background color. And then one of them you just shift down and right by, I think it just 1 unit is basically what I did. Or, yeah, by 1 unit in both directions. It makes a nice looking drop shadow thing. Now, what is important is that you have the drop shadow one first, so that the main one is then drawn over top of it. Yeah, that's a thing. So that's done for all of the text things. Yep. In fact, I probably could have, if I wanted to, had some script that was just like drop shadow text, where all it does is it's on a drop shadow thing, and then it gets a reference to its lower text thing, and then like every time that text change, it updates itself, so that all the drop shadow text things stay the same as their other parts. But I didn't do that, but just throwing it out there, throwing that out there as a potential thing I could have done. Anywho, so that's the level text. Next is the rings left text. I believe this is pretty simple. It just gets the number of rings that are left. I think it gets that from the goal, or the goal has a reference to this script, and it sends off the information, updates this number of rings, and then updates the text, and just goes, yeah, and does that. This didn't need to be 2 functions. This could have been there. I think initially I had this happen in start, so I called update text in 2 places. So I put them together, but then I got rid of start because it didn't need to be updated on start, because the goal ring was effectively calling this function on start. Or actually, I don't need to do this. It literally, I think, is. Or maybe it's not. Oh, no, it's doing that from the ring. So technically it is updating itself multiple times, but all before the first frame, or all on the first frame, or whatever. So that's all right. Yeah, so basically when it updates the number, it tells the UI to update itself. Simply put, that's done there. Next, so that's all the 4 things on the side. Yep. Then we got the speedometer, and the speed text here is just text that's doing nothing but being a label. I was just considering putting it like sideways text, but I ended up just doing this, and it's like, it's fine. I could have maybe done something better, but it works. So this is a slider, just turns sideways, and fills from, in this case, 20 to 50. Yep. background, like I colored it to match kind of the color scheme that ended up happening kind of by accident. Yep. The handle, normally it's like a circle. I swapped that out for the UI sprite. They made it more square, and that just happened to look nicer for this. Yep. Then I think under the handle, then I have this number text that updates based on what the number is here. So that's that. Now the actual, I forget where I have the code for the speedometer. It's on something somewhere. Where are you? Actually, I don't remember. But it was there. I just missed it. Yeah, speedometer UI. Open that up. All it does is, so it has references to that number text and the speed slider. Gets this thing, gets the slider. Then, then it has a setup slider thing and an update speed thing where I believe it's the player that calls this. Yeah, on the playing controller. Oh, let's okay, let's try opening that again. Sure, whatever. Okay, so this. Where am I looking for? I'm looking for the speedometer guy. So that's like one modification I made to this compared to the submarine, is that it gets a reference to the speedometer UI, and then at the very beginning, it sets up the slider so that its minimum value is the backward speed and its maximum value is the forward speed. And then in the move function, once it has the current speed right before it actually moves this up at that speed, then it updates the slider to represent what this current speed is. Cool. Then, yes. So then speed up slider, min max values, update speed, yeah, sets the slider value to that speed, rounds the text just because it looked nicer being an integer, and I don't remember off the top of my head how to, through C# make it round to one decimal, but probably could have figured it out in a quick Google search, but didn't bother. It was like, it's good enough. So with all that, that is the gameplay loop done. Now I'll cover the intro in a second. But yeah, that makes this all how it is. We got the speedometer. You can see it working as it is. Yeah, I could have done like even more fancy stuff of like when the ring's left text hits 0, maybe color it differently or something like that. But again, a lot of things that I didn't need to do. Simply put, no reason to. Or if I was really polishing this or whatever, then yes, I could do that. But for the purposes of what this was for, I didn't need to. So now intro is simply some text over here. This text that you saw that I wrote up in like 10 minutes. Actually, funny enough, it was definitely longer than 10 minutes. It took a while. I do think that the hardest part of this entire thing was just writing this text. I'm so bad at coming up with stuff like this. I had like a general idea of what I wanted. Actually, that general idea started off being something different from this. I just knew that I wanted let me just, come up with some kind of story for this. Just, have some little 5-second thing just to have the story and just to give the controls. I didn't need this. I could have just had it start at level 1 and then call it a day there. But I don't know. I like giving my games a little bit of story. Yeah, and then I thought it'd be funny if I recorded a voiceover thing that was this intro. I had different ideas of what I was going to do. Originally, I was going to have just like a once upon a time there was a programmer who needed to come up with a story for a game and then do something with that. But I just wasn't able to. That beginning part is funny. I'd like to use that for something, but I don't know how to end off that idea. Anywho, but yeah. So then it turned into I don't know. Basically, then it became this, and I made it sound kind of like a military thing, I guess. Listen up, we're about to land, and here's what you gotta do. And I had the distant land of Onoklov, which is volcano backwards. Just that, yeah. Then save the world apparently, because for some reason flying through some rings is gonna save the world because expert storytelling here at Chroma HQ. And then I did a voiceover of me saying the lines and then timed it to the text where well, this was just trial and error of, okay, adjust like how far up the screen the text starts and the, this scrolling thing, which all this does is just move it up the screen. That is over here. Yeah, gets the rect transform and moves it based on the speed, moves the Y position. Now, one thing I wasn't able to figure out is that this does actually move at different speeds depending on the size of the screen. And I don't know why I wasn't able to figure this out, but like if this is smaller, you can see that it scrolls up like really fast, where if it's really big, it scrolls up slow. So I just kind of cheated and made it so it's timed right for when it's full screen, like when you'd be running the standalone thing. And then called it a day there. Yeah, so that's that. And then I had a wait to load script, which just waits a certain number of seconds and then loads, in this case, scene 1. Now, funny enough is that I used this twice, and in both cases it happens to need to load scene 1. So I'm like, I'll just hard code it. I don't need like, I could have like a public variable of like what scene to load, but yeah, it's fine. Also, I did totally, in this, I said we got about 10 seconds because I thought in my head before I recorded it, like, this probably only take like 10 seconds or something to read past this point. But no, it ended up being like 30 seconds, but that's okay. I say about 10 seconds. Oh, wait, we got about 10 seconds. Yeah. So it's an estimate that's wrong. It's fine. But anyways, yeah, this intro thing, I just looked at how long the recording was, added a few seconds to da. And then the ending, also I was like, yeah, how do I end this? Like, the game could just close or something. I don't know. If I had a level selected, go back to that. But like, you know what? No, just have it go back to the beginning. Not the intro, but just go back to level 1. And this was the same deal. Actually, I literally duplicated the scene and then did the ending thing. Yep, and then ending text, did the same. I played around with the speed and like how far it starts up the screen for how long it takes me to say the things. For the text to basically be coming on screen as I'm saying it, close enough, then however long it is, and then it loads scene 1. And with that is my my plane game. It's not a submarine, it's totally a plane. I do like that something kind of cool about the ending last level, like going into the volcano. Also, there's something I like about the colors of the green and the yellow here. I don't know, it looks nice, I guess. Everything else not so much, but again, it works and it is functional. I think for the other stuff I might be doing in this class, where I'm going to be making some Unity game things that I plan to hopefully maybe make more of these kind of videos on, that are totally like not scripted at all. It's just me rambling for 40 minutes about how I went about making it, because I think it's cool to, well, one, just show stuff that I'm doing, two, mainly explain my thought process behind certain things, not just showing like, here's the end product, I totally knew what I was doing from the get-go of exactly what it was going to look like, and like, no, this is what I initially wanted to be, then this is what it became, and here's how I got there. I think that's a cool thing to share, I suppose. But but then I'll hopefully be making more of these potentially for other things that'll be more fleshed out and more actually gamey than this, perhaps. We'll see. We'll see. Anywho, but I think that will wrap this up for now. So that is this plain game that doesn't have a name. Should I name it? Well, plain game. It's just called plain game, I guess. Whatever. The next ones will maybe have actual names. But anywho, I guess I'll end things off here. So that'll do it for this video thing. I don't know what to do outro wise. I guess I'll just do my normal outro. That'll do it for this video. If you liked it, look forward to more of them. And as always, I'll see you around.